So trying to resolve your emotional eating while rejecting your body is like building a house on quicksand. You might think that body acceptance happens after you heal your emotional eating, but it's actually one of the roots that you need to heal in order to resolve your emotional eating. So a lot of women are told they need to look a certain way in order to feel worthy and valuable. And when you're an emotional eater, you struggle with food. And as a result, you might have gained weight, have different issues with your body, and you struggle with wanting to look a certain way to be accepted and to feel worthy, and at the same time using food to cope. And it can become this battle that you're constantly in. You're like, if only I could reach that weight, that body, I'd be accepted, I'll feel good about myself. But then that stress and pressure that you put on yourself triggers you into emotional eating, into the shame spiral, and you're back at the same starting point over and over again. So when you look in the mirror and you judge yourself, you think I should be thinner, I shouldn't look this way, you criticize a part of your body, that actually triggers your body into fight or flight mode. It raises cortisol, it impacts your mood, and it triggers emotional eating. That shame and all of that discomfort you're feeling triggers your emotional eating, and then you're back in the cycle. You're going to food to soothe yourself, to feel calm, to feel okay, to distract yourself, and it's happening so automatically that you can't control it, and you feel like, what's the point? And you just spiral deeper and deeper into the shame, emotional eating loop. So as you reject your own body, as you criticize yourself in the mirror, it's actually creating the pattern that you don't want. It's keeping you away from your healthy body. And so how does body acceptance help heal emotional eating? I know when I say let's work on body acceptance, a lot of my clients, a lot of women roll their eyes. They think, oh my God, I can't like my body. I'm not okay with the way my body looks. I can't be okay with this. And acceptance is not about liking or loving your body. You could actually dislike your body, but it's coming back to this place where you're more neutral. You're not criticizing yourself. You're not constantly lighting a fire under your butt of shame. You are coming into acceptance, being neutral, like this is where I'm at. I understand how I'm here. And it allows your body to just be. When you're constantly criticizing yourself, constantly shaming yourself, you're putting your nervous system into fight or flight mode. You are activated. When you are in body acceptance, you're more neutral, you're calm. And by actually having acceptance, you calm that response, because when you are activated, when you're in this fight or flight, this shame loop, you want to go to food to soothe yourself. When your nervous system and you're calm or more neutral, it's not going to trigger you into going to food. So it actually allows your body to be. And in this calmer nervous system, your body is actually turned on to be in its healthier state. Inflammation lowers, mood is elevated, digestion is better, the body will release weight if it needs to. Everything is activated to support you to have better self-esteem, better confidence, better moods as well. So you can't heal your emotional eating pattern. You can't heal your body when you're at war with it, when you're fighting it, when you are rejecting it. So I'm going to share with you how I work with body acceptance with clients. It's in 2 layers. And sometimes we can look at different areas of our body and we can recognize that that part of our body is actually really helpful to us. And we can become very neutral when we are judging, like this isn't like pretty or this is ugly. Those are more descriptive, pejorative. They can be pejorative if you say ugly words. It's not supporting you. And so if you have any part of your body that you're just sort of subjectively assigning a negative description to, you can look at that area of your body. Let's say it's your hands, and you can look at, my hands help me to create things. It helps me to hold a pen, to write. I love to write. And we can start seeing the utility of our body, because our body is meant to get us from point A to point B, to do things. It's like a machine. And so that is the main reason we have a body, is to use it to move around in our world. So if we didn't have certain areas of our body or parts of our body, we wouldn't be able to do certain things. And so, our legs get us from point A to point B. Our hands help us to create things, to feed ourselves, to put on our clothes. There's so many amazing things that each aspect of our body does. Our nose allows us to breathe, you get the drift. This is sort of like a more surface level area of getting to body acceptance. But when we have had a lot of criticism and, external criticism and shame, or we have very deeply ingrained shame of certain areas of our body, like it feels really stuck, it's usually because we were either shamed by our parents or caregivers, mocked about our body, and we have that really ingrained in our body as a trauma response. And so then we need to do deeper work. And when I'm working with clients, we do somatic meditations with inner child parts work, different psychotherapy tools to really get into that root, to resolve this pattern, to sort of pull out the roots and really get into deeper acceptance of ourselves. Because when we get to those core root issues, we can really see that we were deserving of acceptance and love and validation and to be seen. And it kind of, this whole looking a certain way, we can see how that falls to the wayside. So another way that body acceptance also plays into this pattern, besides just what we physically look like, is how we take care of the needs of our body. Are we resting enough? Are we giving ourselves the right nutrients? Are we drinking enough water? Are we moving enough? These are important to accept our body. Sometimes we think, I don't need to eat as much, when our body is really needing to have more food and to nourish itself. It doesn't mean we're indulging in like eating things that don't nourish us. And so body acceptance has these different layers on what we're actually saying to ourselves when we pass by the mirror, and how we're actually treating our body in terms of its needs. And so as we honor our body by being more accepting of it in terms of what we say when we're in the mirror and how we treat our body, that starts to calm our nervous system down, our body down, and it feels more safe. And like I said before, when we're in this calmer nervous system, that's where our body will release weight, we'll have better moods, we won't be as triggered into our emotional eating. And so this is so key and important among other areas that I work with clients in. And so I want to just share a really profound story of a client who body acceptance was a really big trigger for her. So when she first came to work with me, she had gained a lot of weight. She was in therapy for several years, working on her emotional eating. She had been on Weight Watchers and nothing was moving the needle. She was actually binging daily. When we started to work together for about 1.5 years, she was binging daily, even though she was in therapy. So we started to work on her pattern, and one of the big triggers, because as we were working together, it was coming up to Thanksgiving, was the way her mother talked about her body, and other family members would say, would comment on her body, and this would really trigger her. And especially when you're at something like Thanksgiving and there's so much available food and you get triggered because someone's commenting on your body, you start feeling shame, you go into the shame spiral, the food is there and you just are numbing out. You're just trying to get through, the event, the evening, the meal. And she would get triggered and really just have an abundance of food to have. So we started working on this pattern before that started. She needed more trauma work versus just looking at the utility of our body, because these were really deeply ingrained patterns that had been there since childhood. And so we worked on it. We worked on it together in one-to-one sessions, and she had meditations that she worked on her own, and she could do them. And she did do them before she had to meet with family members. And she wasn't triggered into her emotional eating. By the time we got to Thanksgiving, I think she had been in the program about 6 weeks or so. And she wasn't triggered into her emotional eating. She had the tools, so she had meditations she could do. We were working on it in office hours and one-to-one sessions, and she was able to move through that holiday. And that's the amazing thing when you do the deeper work on this pattern. You start seeing it for what it is and building up that internal acceptance, moving through the triggers and getting back to calm and peace in your body. And so when you're not triggered and you know how to actually meet the needs of that trigger, you're not going to go to food and emotionally eat. So if you are curious on how you can start shifting your emotional eating pattern, I do have a free guide called What Are You Truly Hungry For? In the guide, it's going to help you discern true from emotional hunger and start catching those triggers. And if you want to dive in deeper, you want that support, you can find out more about the Emotional Eating Evolution Program. This is my 12-week container where there is a step-by-step process. There are office hours, one-to-one sessions with me, deeper tools to shift this pattern at the root so that you can start feeling ease and peace and confidence around food and in your body. And so if you want to find out more about either of those, the links will be below. If you have any questions about what I've shared today, please let me know. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.